Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Casshern, a Japanese sci-fi action drama from 2004 that is based on an anime series from 1973. Now I think the proper pronunciation is something like Casshern or something, but I'm referring to it as Casshern for our purposes here because it's far easier to pronounce that way. So set in the late 21st century, a 50-year war between the Eastern Federation and Europa ends, with the Federation taking control of the Eurasian continent. A resistance movement rises in Zone 7, and the Federation mobilizes its military. However, the war and heavy industry have exhausted the Federation and polluted the environment. So Earth is now in a state of crisis, and the future of mankind is at risk. Hope lies in a geneticist's discovery of a neo-cell that lies within the remains of a primitive ethnic group that lived in Europa, which can rejuvenate the human body. So despite some political resistance, the experiments begin. Unfortunately for them, though, a freak lightning strike causes the neo-cells to bond into living humanoids who escape the laboratory. So these humanoids then travel to their homeland of Europa and realize that the Federation obliterated their ancestors. So now filled with rage, these humanoids resurrect a robot army and are hell-bent on the annihilation of the Federation's society. So a powerful warrior emerges in this battle against the new menace, and only he can save the human race as it fights an ultimate war against its own extinction. So a bit of a convoluted story there, but it's pretty interesting. Now remember, this is a live-action film, not an animated film, even though it's based on an anime from the 70s. This is really one of those oddball blockbuster type films that do not get made that often, anywhere. It has copious amounts of special effects that are wrapped around like an art house film that's peppered with some outlandish action scenes. Even more perplexing is the war is hell theme that is prevalent throughout, an extremely operatic presentation. So this is a real ballsy mix of styles that seems like it was made only for viewers with eclectic, wide-ranging taste in film. And even then, it could be a hard sell. It could be a tough sell to anybody. So the obvious thing is that one obvious thing you're going to notice in Casshern is that the entire film is a gigantic CGI fest from beginning to end, with most of the special effects focusing on background environments and world building. Fortunately, the environmental designs, at least in terms of artistry and concept, are spectacular. So much so, in fact, that virtually every shot of this movie has something to gawk at, despite the fact that very little of it is photorealistic, and it's certainly not on par with a $200 million Hollywood production. However, it probably helps that this movie was set in like a futuristic, unfamiliar world because it allows the filmmakers a little bit more leeway. They can present things in a bit more unrealistic way. Some shots do look artificial, but there are some cases where I really cannot tell if it's a set or green screen effects. So the visuals are generally effective and really do add to the experience. Now I read somewhere that the production cost of this film was only $6.6 million US. That's almost unbelievable. I mean, especially considering how the film just bombards you with an endless assault of fantastical imagery. I'm not sure I really believe that budget number, but if it's true, that's actually quite an accomplishment here. So with that said, I do think that there's sufficient character motivation in this, drama, and themes to kind of lift this above, kind of a wafer-thin spectacle. Some viewers may overlook this because at times this film uses images to express its content instead of words. Also, I previously mentioned the operatic presentation, which really uses an intense scoring and music during many of the battle moments, and dramatic moments, actually. So again, you have this odd mix where the film is upfront with its war is hell theme, but some of the content that supports it may go unnoticed. You have to pay attention to it, but I can see why some people may find the style of this film overbearing, especially when coupled with the extreme visuals. Personally, I found the ending to be emotionally resonant, so it must have developed the characters and themes enough to make that happen, at least for me. The action scenes themselves are kind of a mixed bag. Okay, in some cases, they have too many quick cuts and edits to clearly see what's happening. But there are some great scenes in those instances where the camera slows down. Whenever like hand-to-hand combat is used, it's usually hampered by that quick cut editing style. Although there are a few fights that are properly edited, like there's a sword fight during the latter half, which was quite good, and you could see enough of it to make it a good scene. But fortunately, most of the other action is actually very cool. My favorite sequence is the one versus many battle scene right near the midpoint. It's fantastic and highly creative in terms of like the types of attacks that are used. So yeah, there is some cool action in this movie, but don't go into this just for the action, because this film isn't structured to be just that. It's structured to be more than that. The acting is good overall. The most recognizable face, though, in this film to Western audiences, I think, would be Kumiko Aso, who previously starred in Kiyoshi Kurosawa's horror film Pulse way back in 2001. So it was nice to see her in this one as well. So in a nutshell, I do recommend Casshern, but you need to go into it with an open mind. The first time I saw it, I actually did not like it because, it subverted all of my expectations and it also overwhelmed me stylistically. But it definitely grew on me significantly after repeat viewings. If you're in the mood for something a bit different in the sci-fi realm, give this one a go. Now, this movie is widely available on DVD and Blu-ray. However, I've read that the US release of 116 minutes is much shorter than the Japanese release of 140 minutes. Also, the subtitles have received some criticism for their incompleteness in the translation. So I have not seen the original Japanese cut, so I cannot point out the differences for you. But those are my thoughts on Casshern, and as always, I will see you next time.